again. You're not an alley cat, are you, Jennifer? You're the most beautiful kitten in the world. Hi, Mom. Ooh, is that cake for supper?
Expect it is. Maybe it'll sweeten up a girl around here who seems to need it, from all I just heard.
I'm sorry, Mom. But Carol said Jennifer was an old alley cat.
Oh, is that what made you so angry? If you wait a minute, you can lick the bowl.
Oh, boy. I'll give Jennifer some, too.
Well, what did the Three Musketeers do today?
Oh, Carol wasn't with us. She can't play with Sue anymore, and Sue can't play with her.
They can't? Why not?
Oh, I don't know. It was something that Sue did to Carol or Carol did to Sue. I forget which. Anyway, they told their mothers about it, and they got into a fight. Now Sue and Carol can't play together. And I don't know what to do. If I play with Sue, Carol gets mad. And then if I play with Carol, Sue gets mad. I wish they'd make up.
Well, they both came to your birthday party.
Oh, that was before their mothers found out what happened and said all those things.
Oh, no, let's not repeat gossip. Incidentally, we've never gotten around to exchanging the blouses the girls gave you. They were both a little too small, remember?
Mom, can I exchange them all by myself? You said I was getting big enough to do my own shopping now. Can't I, please?
All right, dear. Be a good experience for you. Let's see now. How about going down Tuesday after school? The stores won't be so crowded then.
Oh, boy, Mom. That'll be fun. And I'll pick out some real nice ones, too. You'll see. I'll go ask Carol if she wants to come, too, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Jennifer. I just love nights by the fire. Especially when we talk about things Daddy reads from the Bible.
Well, let's see now. Where did I leave off last time, Molly? Do you remember?
Was... Oh, I know. It was about the things Jesus said on the mountain. You said you'd explain that part about an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
Yes. Here we are. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist one who is evil. But if anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also.
I still don't think that's fair. Well, strike means hit, doesn't it? Well, then it says, if someone socks me right here, I should turn my head and let them hit me here, too. Jesus didn't mean that, did he?
Let me try to help you understand, honey. Let's say that Carol, now I know she wouldn't do it, but let's just pretend. Let's say that Carol, for no reason at all, pulled Jennifer's tail. What would you do?
I'd be mad. I don't know what I'd do. Maybe I'd pull her hair. Or get even some way.
Well, suppose you did get even. Suppose you hit her, and then she hit you back. There'd be a big battle, and you'd come home crying. You'd say you hated her, that you're never going to play with her again.
Well, I'd probably feel that way. Carol was mean to Jennifer.
But according to Jesus, it wouldn't be right, now would it? Now, let's go back over our story. We're pretending and change it just a little. Let's say that Carol pulled Jennifer's tail, and you were so mad that you hit Carol. But here's where we change the story. Instead of Carol hitting you back, we'll have her just stand there with tears in her eyes. Now think just a minute before you answer. What would you do if you saw her crying? Hit her again?
No, I don't think I would. Because I don't like to see anybody cry.
Jesus knew that if we turned the other cheek, we'd be living according to the law of love. We'd be doing the right thing. And by our example, teaching others to do the right thing, too.
But what if it doesn't work? Turning the other cheek.
There are some things we do just because we believe in them. And because we want to live God's way, no matter what others do. Besides, hitting back doesn't solve anything. It only leads to more hard feelings and resentment. But when you turn the other cheek, you're loving back instead of hitting back.
I guess Jesus was right then, wasn't he?
But of course, when he spoke about turning the other cheek, Jesus wasn't talking just about someone hitting us. He was talking about all the wrong and hurtful things people say and do. All too often, we plan and wait for the day when we can get even with a person. But Jesus reminds us that God's children are not to give an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth, but to turn the other cheek, to forgive, just as God loves and forgives us.
But it's an awful hard thing to do, isn't it?
You stay out of there, Ben Hanson. That brew isn't done yet.
Just testing, ma'am. When do you expect Molly back?
She'll be along any minute now. Stores close at 6. She can't stay much later.
Oh, those girls are like the Three Musketeers.
There's only 2 musketeers now. I'm afraid there's been a parting of the ways.
Oh, what happened? Somebody pulled somebody's hair?
A little more than that, I guess. Sort of a misunderstanding. Seems Sue did something to Carol, or Carol did something to Sue. Nobody seems to remember just exactly what. Anyway, their mothers got into a misunderstanding over it. Now they've forbidden the girls to play with each other. Sort of puts Molly in an awkward position.
Now, if that isn't silly. I'm glad you've got more sense than to get mixed up in Molly's squabbles.
Well, it doesn't pay, Ben. Children are quick to anger, but just as quick to forgive. Grown-ups are apt to brood over a situation, build it up in their minds. They don't seem to know how to forgive and forget. Here comes Molly now. We're in here, honey. Well, you wore one of your new blouses home.
Hey, that's real pretty.
Oh, that's a lovely blouse, dear. You certainly made an excellent choice. Well, let's see what the other one's like. What's the matter, dear? Couldn't you exchange Sue's blouse? What is it, Molly? Darling, what's wrong?
I did something awful.
Oh, hadn't you better tell us about it?
I stopped at Sue's house, just like Mom told me to do, to find out where she bought the blouse. Carol waited at the side of the house, so Sue wouldn't see her and get mad because we were going downtown together. And so Sue's mother wouldn't see her. But Mrs. Allen must have watched us coming down the sidewalk because she came to the door and she was real mad. She said that hiding Carol was a sneaky thing to do and that I shouldn't desert Sue all the time to be with Carol. She said I wouldn't have any friends if I kept acting that way. Then I got mad too. And talked back.
Oh, Molly, you didn't. You know better than that.
Honey, what did you say to her?
I told her I wasn't being sneaky and that Sue wouldn't have any friends either. It would be her fault for not letting us all play together. Then I left. Didn't even ask about blouse.
Oh, darling. Oh, I'm sorry this had to happen. I know it must have spoiled your shopping trip. I almost feel like calling Sue's mother and telling her she shouldn't treat you that way. Only, it would only make things worse.
Yes. There's been enough bitterness around here. Honey, do you remember what we talked about last night? Well, I think that it's time we turned the other cheek. Why don't you call Mrs. Allen and apologize?
Oh, Daddy, I couldn't do that. She'd start bawling me out again.
I don't think she would. Mrs. Allen's really a very nice person. But parents sometimes forget and lose their tempers when children are involved. Now, you go and call her and apologize. It'll make you feel better. Mrs. Allen will probably apologize right back.
Daddy's right, honey. It's the thing to do. Since you really are sorry, why not tell her so,
Mrs. Allen? This is Molly. I just called to tell you that I'm sorry I talked back to you this afternoon. Thank you. Goodbye. Phew, she didn't sound mad at all. She just said she accepted my apology. But she didn't apologize to me.
Well, that's not important. The thing is, you did what Jesus wants us all to do.
Oh, my stew. I bet it's stuck to the pan.
Well, don't get into a stew over it, madam.
Oh.
Daddy.
Well, these answers look all right to me, honey. I'd say you were coming along fine with your arithmetic.
I get it. Why, Joanne, how nice. Come on in.
It's Mrs. Allen, Sue's mother.
Wonderful seeing you again, Joanne.
How are you, Mrs. Allen?
I'm fine, thanks. But pretty ashamed of myself. I've been awfully foolish. I'm sorry about the way I acted, Molly. Please forgive me.
Sure, Mrs. Allen.
Thank you. And I'm glad that both Sue and I have you as a friend. She's waiting for you right now out in the front porch with Carol.
You mean Sue and Carol can play together again?
Yes, it's all straightened out and for good.
Hey, Sue, Carol, come on in. Hi, Molly.
Well, Jennifer, looks like you're stuck with us grown-ups. The Three Musketeers are together again.
Look, aren't you glad things worked out like they did? Me too. Now we can all play together again. I'll say. You want to see my new blouse, Sue?
Hello, everybody. I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to another lunchtime streaming event with AV Geeks. AV Geeks is a vast archive of over 27,000 16mm films, and we've been sharing them with you. This is the beginning of the 13th week, and thank you so much for joining us for lunch or breakfast or dinner or some sort of meal in between. We do this as kind of a way to give ourselves a little bit of a break, look to the past with hindsight and with some catty comments. Yeah, so that last film was Turn the Other Cheek, which was Family Films. Family Films was a Christian educational film company. They made films that were shown mostly in Sunday school, church settings, occasionally made it to television, occasionally made it to schools, but really not. Most of them were very religious in nature. And this last one featured some celebrities, and most of them did. Most of them featured like people that were on TV or had some sort of movie acting experience, because they were set in or shot in LA. And so this one had, Molly was played by Kathy Garver, who was later Sissy on Family Affair. And if you looked up the other names, you'd find that they had roles in early Hollywood films and radio and television, things like that. So, excuse me. Yeah, so this, hope everybody had a good weekend. Thank you so much. This is my coffee. Thank you for buying me a coffee, Calvin, if you're there, and William. It's a great way to support AV Geeks because our brains run on caffeine, and coffee is the most successful way to deliver caffeine into my bloodstream. So there you go. This next film is a Cornet film, which we love, and it's School Rules. So now that school is out for most people, here's a chance to look back and maybe implement the rules at your home school. Here we go.
Rules in action. Rules that keep things going smoothly and fairly. Rules that help us get where we're going, help us work together and play together and live together. Of course, in small groups, we sometimes get along without rules. But when many of us play together, rules make the game. Rules help us play fair with each other, so all can enjoy the game. Rules that apply equally to all. It's up to each one of us to know the rules and follow them. And we can each take part in making the rules more fair and more useful. Inside our school, we also have rules for fair play and for getting along together. In our library, for example, here, many of us use the same books and reference materials. So we have set up rules to help make the library a good place to study and read, and to help all of us use the books more fairly. Of course, at times, some of us have trouble with the rules.
You have a book out, overdue, and it's already been renewed once. I can't let you take out another until you bring that book back.
Oh, sure you can. Look, I need that book, and this one too, for an assignment. Now just let me take it out, and I'll bring it back next week.
No, I can't. It's the rule.
Yes, it's the rule. But John needed the book, and he wanted Betty to make an exception to the rule. Of course, she could not make an exception, but she suggested that John take his problem to the principal.
All right, I will.
So John came to see me, to ask me to make an exception in his case. What should we tell people who want exceptions to the rules? How can we show them that exceptions are unfair, that they spoil the game? That's it. They spoil the game. When you strike out in baseball, would it be fair to ask for an exception for another strike? When you're in a hurry to get somewhere, you still wait at red lights. You know that exceptions would not be fair. Just imagine having an exceptioner in the library to decide that one person doesn't have to bring books back, but another one does. Would this be fair? Would it be fair to make exceptions and excuse some people from paying fines while making other people pay? Well, John finally agreed that rules must apply to everyone, that exceptions are unfair. The rules are pretty important after all. The rules are so important that we go to a lot of trouble to remind everyone of the rules. We post bulletins that remind us of the rules about fire drills, where to go and what to do, about school activities, what they do and how they operate, about safety on the streets near our school, rules for living together, We have hall guards to remind us of our traffic rules in the halls. Our teachers are always glad to answer questions about the rules. Yes, most of the time we remember and respect the rules. But sometimes, some of us have problems because of not knowing the rules or forgetting them. Come in, Alvin.
Mr. Blackwell sent me from gym class. I didn't know we were supposed to bring gym shoes to class today. We've been having the class outdoors until today.
Didn't Mr. Blackwell tell the class to bring gym shoes?
Well, I must have been absent that day.
Absent or not listening very carefully? Alvin, whose job is it to see that you know the rules? Sit down. What could I say? How could I show Alvin his responsibility? How do you convince people that they must learn the rules? Suppose you are watching a game of work-up baseball. Say you've never played it, but you'd like to try. How would you go about learning the rules these fellows use? You'd watch for a while, wouldn't you? If someone caught a fly and traded places with the batter, well, then you'd have some idea of one of the rules. And you could look to see where the bases were. They might be just like regular baseball, or perhaps not. Then if you were given a chance to play, you'd ask some questions. Questions about the rules. And then you'd play. And you'd have fun by playing by the rules. Now suppose you're in school on your way to a new class. Whenever you come into a new situation, you watch for rules. So, as you enter shop class for the first time, you look around. You see workbenches, quite a few of them. You'll probably be assigned to one, and it'll be up to you to keep it neat and take care of the tools there. One bandsaw and a rule. Whenever many people use the same thing, rules are necessary. Well, how do you get permission? You ask and find out. That's another way to learn the rules. Look around you. Read. Watch. Ask questions. You can learn the rules if you try. Well, Alvin seemed to understand that it was his responsibility to learn the rules, and he promised to bring his gym shoes the next day. You know, it's worth remembering. When we don't know the rules, or if we forget them, it's just as unfair to others as if we broke the rules on purpose. Now, Ernie, he's one of our hall guards. He'd been waiting to see me because he had another question about rules.
Well, we're having trouble on the west stairway. You see, that's supposed to be up only. But at certain times of the day, there's hardly anyone around the halls, and it's handy for some to come down the west stairs. I feel silly telling them not to, but I'm supposed to enforce the rules. Well, Mr. Taylor, the hall guards just don't know what to do.
Well, perhaps that stairway isn't as congested as it was when our traffic rules were set up. Maybe they need changing.
Would you change the rule, Mr. Taylor? That might help.
Well, that's not my rule to change, Ernie. Don't you remember, the student committee planned the hall traffic program? But you might like to study the problem, talk it over with the other hall guards, and then make suggestions to the student committee.
That's a good idea. We'll do that. Thank you.
Not at all. That's another important thing to remember about rules. They're set up to meet a need, and we can each take part in changing them if changes are needed. How are rules made? Our school board here in town makes some rules. After all, the parents hold them responsible for making this a good school. Our state government makes some overall rules for schools to give each one of us a fair chance to learn. And we, through our own student representatives, make some of the rules too. They help us find ways of making our life in school smoother and more pleasant and fair for all. Our rules apply equally to all, with no exceptions. That is part of making them fair. Each one of us has the responsibility of learning the rules and remembering to follow them. And we can work together to make better rules when we need them, and to use our rules to help make living at school more happy and worthwhile for all.
Love that cornet look and feel. But yeah, that the sports metaphors would have been lost on me as a kid. Like I'd be like, what? I don't understand. I played sports, but really not really. I was more into making clubhouses and having dirt clod wars and playing with Micronauts. This next film is a part of the Moody Institute of Science. We've shown other Moody Institute of Science films. This one is part of a little mini-series, the Wonder series. And it doesn't feature my favorite guy, Dr. Irwin Moon. It features some other dude whose name I can't remember. It's probably like Mr. Fix-It or Tom or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, he runs a fix-it shop and kids come by and he teaches them the wonder of different types of things. And this one is the wonder of our body. And this might have been made for Sunday school, but it also, I mean, it still has the religious content. But it was also probably made for schools, regular schools as well, because there was a lot of grant money funding science and math films. So here it is, The Wonder of Our Body.
There, I think that ought to do it, Ed. Better plug it in first to make sure that it works. Okay, good. Oh, hi, fellas. Be right with you.
Hi, Uncle Bob.
Take your time, no hurry.
Hi, Mr. Udy.
Hi, Jack. Dick, been playing ball?
No, not yet. We were just going out and back.
Well, here you are, Ed. As good as new.
Well, thanks, Bob. How much do I owe you?
Oh, $2 ought to do it. Thank you, Ed.
Well, thanks again. So long, fellas. Have a good game.
We will. Bye, Mr. Udy.
Bye.
Well, you two boys look raring to go. Have a big game lined up?
No, just some of the guys are going to work out for a while.
Why don't you come out with us, Uncle Bob? We need a good pitcher.
Oh, thanks, fellas. I wish I could. I certainly need the exercise. Now, business is business, you know. And speaking of that, what can I do for you gentlemen?
Dad asked me to bring the stick.
What's wrong with it, Dick?
Sticks.
Oh. Oh, I see. Sure. Well, I think that can be fixed, all right.
You know, I think being able to take pictures is terrific.
It is terrific, Jack. Man really came up with something when he invented and developed the marvel of photography.
Who invented photography?
Well, that's hard to say for sure. Way back in the 18th century, a chemist over in Sweden was the first one to experiment with the effects of sunlight on silver chloride. And I guess you could say that started other experiments and ideas. But you know, the first camera was made long before that.
You mean we had cameras before we even knew about photography?
That's just what I mean, Dick. You see, the human eye is the most delicate and marvelous camera in existence. In fact, this camera is just a man-made eye. But it can't compare with your eyes, fellas. Look here. This is the lens of the camera, and it's made along the same principle as the lens of our eye. Now, if we focus a camera on an object, and then we change the distance between the camera and that object, the image becomes blurred and we have to focus the camera all over again. And that focusing has to be done by hand, you see, just like this. However, in our eye, the focusing is all done automatically. Now, we move around seeing things from different angles and distances all the time. Strong muscles in our eyes change the focus thousands of times each day, and we never even give it a thought.
How about that?
Yeah, I never knew that.
And that's not all. You see this little opening in the lens? Now, that's called the iris, and it controls the amount of light that gets into the camera to expose the film. Now, we can open and close the iris like this. See? Now, the camera's iris gets its name from the iris of our eye. The eye's iris automatically opens and closes to adjust for different amounts of light. The more light, the smaller the iris. The less light, the wider the iris opens.
That's terrific, Uncle Bob.
Our eyes are amazing little instruments. But you know, they're only one part of the wondrous body that God has given us. This house we live in is made up of many remarkable things. Come on in here a minute. Now take a look out there at your buddies playing ball. Now you don't see still pictures, do you?
No.
No, of course not. The pictures that the eye gives us are moving pictures. And they're not silent pictures either. They're sound pictures.
That's right, they are. That's because we have ears, huh?
That's because we have ears. What about these ears of ours? Watch your head. You know, I suppose most of us just think of our ears as a couple of things sticking out of the side of our head that are so easy to get dirty, but oh, so hard to get clean, huh? Actually, the human ear is one of the most efficient sound detectors known. A very delicate and sensitive instrument that operates in a remarkable way. Think of how a piano sounds when it's played. Do you realize that the sound you hear is played all over again on a perfect little musical instrument inside your ear? You see, the piano is really just producing sound waves. And when these vibrations reach our brain, then we hear the tones. As the keys are struck, felt hammers hit the strings, causing them to vibrate. Now, each pulsating string sets the air around it vibrating in the same way. These vibrations, or waves in the air, are picked up by the outer ear, go down the auditory canal, and are carried by the bones of the middle ear to the cochlea, which is all rolled up like a tiny seashell. If the cochlea could be stretched out, we would discover an instrument very much like the piano, except that it is much more wonderful, for the cochlea has more than 24,000 strings. When a piano is played, the ear's remarkable keyboard plays the same tones and sends signals along the nerves to the brain where we perceive it as sound. Of course, the outer ear operates in air, but the cochlea is filled with a liquid. And transferring sound waves from air to a liquid is one of the most difficult problems known to science. But in the ear, this problem is beautifully solved by the precise design of the middle ear with its two diaphragms of just the right size and three connecting bones that provide the exact leverage required. These tiny bones, called the ossicles, are just right to do the job that enables us to hear properly. But the real wonder of these little bones is the fact that their size never changes from the time you were born. The ossicles of an adult and a child are just alike. As you grow and develop, every bone in your body grows and develops. Every one except your ossicles. They are fully developed at birth. Now, can this be just an accident? No, I don't think so.
You know, Uncle Bob, I never really knew how wonderful my eyes and ears are.
Not only our eyes and ears, fellas, but also the other parts of our body, too. the hand. There's a tool that man can never duplicate for usefulness. Oh, man has made mechanical hands that can perform such tasks as pouring a cup of coffee. You see, these machines are to handle hot radioactive material that man can't get near. But that artificial hand can't thread a needle, or perform a life-saving operation, or paint a picture. Did you know our body has a chemical plant, and it's far better than any that man has ever built? The body's chemical plant changes the food we eat into living tissues. It causes the growth of flesh and blood and bones and teeth. Why, it even repairs the body when parts are damaged by accident or disease. The food that we eat is changed into power for work and play. As this fuel is burned in the body's living furnace, energy is set free to drive our body machine. And the same remarkable furnace helps to keep us warm in winter. Why, even in freezing weather, our bodies will sometimes actually overheat. And when this occurs, the body's own cooling system takes over. Drops of perspiration pour from millions of tiny sweat glands in our skin. And with the help of this perspiration, the body's cooling system can keep our temperatures from rising for a limited time, even in heat that will fry a steak. And don't forget our heart. Our very life depends on the proper working of this amazing little instrument. Our heart is actually a little muscular pump, forcing blood through thousands of miles of blood vessels. Blood that carries food and oxygen to every part of our body. The heart pumps an average of 12 pints of blood every minute, and in one day pumps enough blood to fill a gasoline truck to overflowing. During your lifetime, your heart will pump enough blood to fill a string of tank cars 50 miles long. And just think, fellas, if you live to be 65 years old, your heart will have beaten 2.5 million times, and without one single shutdown for repairs. Yes, we've been given a wonderful body machine, which is made of many separate parts. In addition to those we've mentioned, think of our wonderful bone structure, the way in which our body manufactures its own lubricating fluid so our joints can move without squeaking. Then there's our voice box and our vocal cords, which enable us to speak. Our lungs and our blood cells, our nervous system. Then, of course, there's our brain, which in itself is almost beyond our ability to understand.
I guess God went to a lot of trouble just to make our bodies so perfect.
Yes, the way we are made does show his great wisdom and power. And we have a responsibility to take good care of these houses we live in. We should keep ourselves clean, not only from the ordinary kind of dirt that we all get on our hands and faces, but also from the kind that will spoil our hearts and minds. We should eat and drink only those things that are good for us. And we should try to keep ourselves well and strong by getting plenty of fresh air and good clean exercise.
You mean like playing ball?
I mean like playing ball. You better scoot on out there and get that practice started.
Okay, Uncle Bob, and thanks. So long, Uncle Bob. Still wish you could come.
So long, fellas.
Thanks, Uncle Bob. Yeah, he spends a lot of time talking to his kids. So this is pretty much the MO of Moody Institute of Science. They show beautiful illustrations and animations of science concepts. They also will show like time-lapse photography and use super close-up lenses and microphotography to get really beautiful, stunning stuff. And then they will pepper in, could this have happened by accident? And, this is all part of God's great plan for making our bodies so perfect, which, when you get older, you realize your body's not so perfect. There's a lot of little problems. This is, and the thing is, I'm sure that they made this for schools, and they were going under the assumption, whereas the original Moody Institute of Science films talked about Jesus and talked about the New Testament, they pulled back and just talked about God in general because they didn't want to offend Jews, they didn't want to offend Catholics, so they were like, America is basically a God-fearing nation, so we can mention God because we all are on the same page regarding God. So, but we won't do New Testament things. But it's interesting they talked about keeping clean physically, but also morally clean, which is kind of fascinating. All right, so this next film is not religious at all, unless your religion is bicycles. This is made by AAA, and this is The Day the Bicycles Disappeared. Enjoy.
Saturday, somewhere in the United States. And today, like most Saturdays, very much like the last to all who live here. However, one thing will be different. In just a few seconds, at exactly 2 p.m., the bicycles will disappear.
I'm sorry. I know you're not like the others. You don't break the rules, but still I gotta go.
Why?
We were all told to go to set an example.
An example? Why?
Very few people listen. Very few even try.
Try what?
Try to obey the safety rules, that's what. We're tired of getting banged up and tired of being upended. We're tired of seeing some of our owners get hurt. Tired of narrowly escaping one accident after another.
But I never did anything like that. I tried to obey all the rules.
I know. That's why I didn't want to leave you. You've been the exception. I've no complaints. But still, I have to go. All the bicycles must go. I'm sorry.
Where are you going?
To the ballpark, to protest.
Let me go with you. Let me talk to the others. Maybe they'll make an exception and let you stay.
All right. Maybe they will listen.
No more rides. Absolutely no more rides. Order, bicycles. Let's have order.
All right.
Well, I say now, what's the point of in here? Now, I find it impossible.
Quiet down. My owner has every right to be here. After all, he's the exception. The only one who has lived up to all the rules.
Well, I don't mind.
Well, he did.
I'm sorry if you've been mishandled or if your owners disobeyed the rules. But why pick on me? I try. Why can't my bicycle and I stay together?
Oh, give him a chance.
I'll take down your demands and show them to the others. See? I even have a pencil and some paper.
He probably can't even spell.
Please give it a try. Even if I don't get every word, I'm sure the others will understand my notes, especially if I print them. Now, what are your demands?
Well, we want everyone to realize that before we'll come back, they must know the traffic regulations both for their area and everywhere else they drive a bike. Some regulations differ from place to place. Everyone must promise to obey the bicycle safety rules. What's the matter? Am I going too fast for you?
No.
For example, from this day on, one person and one person only should ride on a bike. Riding someone on the handlebars or back fender only invites trouble.
A bicycle is more difficult to control, balancing someone else's weight, plus your own.
Riding abreast of one another is out, too.
Swerve and whammo.
If they want us back, everyone must drive in single file.
Not only in roadways, but on sidewalks as well.
Bike riders have no special privileges and must be more considerate of others.
Uh-oh.
They must realize the importance of traffic rules, stop signs, and signals, and must obey them just as motorists do driving a car.
They should get it in their heads they must keep to the right like cars do, and stay as far over to the right as they can.
Driving against the flow of traffic can be dangerous, too.
A car driver just can't give proper attention to the oncoming cyclist and the oncoming car.
Look what happens when a cyclist swerves.
Bike drivers should never weave from side to side or change lanes suddenly.
Motorists can't always anticipate sudden or reckless movements.
If you have to turn or change lanes, always give the proper hand signal. This is a must, after all. The driver behind you doesn't know what you expect to do.
It's good common sense and courteous, too.
In addition, avoid making left turns in heavy traffic.
It's hard enough for someone in a car to make a left turn when traffic is heavy.
Therefore, instead of making a left turn, drive straight ahead to the far side of the cross street. Stop and dismount. When the traffic light changes to green, walk your bike across the street. And continue on your way.
Hey, not so fast. My hand's getting tired.
Whoa!
I knew we couldn't trust him. He couldn't do it.
His hand's a little tired, that's all.
Give him a sporting hand.
Oh.
Okay, I'm ready to start again.
I'll try to go a little slower from now on. Bicycle drivers must know and obey all traffic signals.
And signs, too. Bike drivers must keep in mind they have the same responsibilities as car drivers.
Failure to stop can be mighty serious.
Oh, heavens.
Incidentally, speaking of safety, this motorist should never have gotten out of her car in the middle of an intersection to instruct the boy.
That's right. Check for traffic, then head on your way.
In addition, every person driving a bike must keep his mind on what he's doing. Not thinking only causes trouble. See what I mean?
They'd be able to spot emergencies in the making and steer clear of them.
When they don't think ahead, things like this happen. Mousetrapped. Say, you should have heard the driver of the car.
Now watch this girl avoid the same situation. Notice how she checked to see what's coming behind her.
Never take anything for granted. Be on the alert for the unexpected. If our handlebars are left loose, how can we steer properly?
Keep us in good repair at all times.
Look what happened when my owner took my chain guard off and forgot to put it back.
And when a pedal gets worn or broken, it should be replaced or repaired right away.
Same with brakes. In an emergency, they've got to work.
As for night driving, it should be avoided.
When it gets dark, it's time to put us away.
6 out of 10 traffic deaths occur at dusk and in darkness.
If it is necessary to drive a bike after it's dark, like this messenger, see that your bicycle has a front light that works. A reflector or red light should be mounted in the rear, so you can be seen from behind.
As for sidewalk rules, there are a number of important ones. Sidewalks are mainly to walk on. They are definitely not the place for stunts.
Showing off only leads to trouble.
Bike riders must yield the right-of-way to all pedestrians.
They should be more courteous, too.
If necessary, stop and let them go by.
And keep in mind, people on the sidewalk don't always expect you to be there. Elderly people can't always react quickly.
People with young infants may not be able to get out of your way either.
Always warn them with your bell or horn.
Often shrubs or a hidden entrance will block a driver's view as he backs out in a car. Always be alert.
Never enter a roadway without first looking in both directions for traffic. When the cars have passed, continue on your way.
This is what happened when my owner didn't. And this is what happened to me. I doubt if I'll ever be the same.
Oh, what a pity.
Well, that about does it. Those are our demands. If they want us back, every bike driver in the community must promise to accept his or her responsibilities. And each must promise to obey the safety rules. Now, take your bicycle and go. But don't tell them where we are unless they agree to our terms. Promise?
Promise.
Go. We'll wait here to see what happens.
Good luck.
Bye now. Hey, follow me. Follow me. Follow me.
Susie Simmons. Herbie Cowan, Sally Borden, Samuel Lee, Jennifer Smith, Tracy Brown, Henry Golden, Terry White. Saturday, somewhere in the United States. What happened here could have happened anywhere. See to it that it doesn't happen in your town. Know the traffic and bicycle rules in your community.
So that film was brought to us by Gene Starbecker. Gene did a lot of films for AAA, but also did those amazing, not gory, but pretty traumatizing bus safety films. He did Death Zones, which I showed to you guys, and you all got bummed out. Then he also did And Then It Happened, which was also way over the top and a little traumatizing. And he also, he did films on his company, I think did films, I don't know if he did counselor films or not, but Gene Starbecker made lots and lots of industrial films, and he was based kind of in the DC, Maryland area. So, yeah, so I'm fond of his work. Not all of them are as quaint as this or as over the top as the bus safety films, but they're still pretty great. This next film is brought to us by Brigham Young University, and this is also another filmmaker, Wetzel O. Whitaker, and he and his family made a bunch of films dealing with Mormonism, but ultimately dealing with a lot of human emotional behavior, looking at yourself and how you're behaving. And this film is called Never a Bride, and it's somewhat diabolical. It's the story picks up it's choppy at first, but a girl is going to her aunt's dude ranch to find a man to marry. And she is scheming and conniving, and let's see how well it goes for her. So here's Never a Bride.
Where you're needed, in the guest room, the kitchen, the office, the pool, and the golf course. Oh, there'll be that, too. Oh, this summer, I've just got to learn how to ride. Say, how's your tourist trip? Oh, great. We have a good booking already. Well, I mean men. Oh, well, when the word gets around you're here, I'm sure we'll be overrun. Nice-looking horses, aren't they?
Oh, Aunt Jean.
Neil! Laura, this is Neil Carter. Neil, this is my niece, Laura Allen.
Hi.
Hello. You'll have to watch her. She's bound and determined to learn how to ride.
Well, don't you go trying to discourage her. See you later.
Aunt Jean, I'm disappointed in you. Why didn't you send him to get me? Oh, it's good to have you here, Laura. Oh, it's good to be here. I think you'll like your new roommate. What's her name? Elaine. Here we are, right over here. Come in. Hi. This is my new roomie? Yep. Laura, this is Elaine Tyler. Elaine, this is my niece, Laura Allen. Hi. Well, I'll let you two get acquainted. I'll see you in 5 minutes, Aunt Jean. Okay. Can I help you with anything? No, I just need to get my face repaired. Nice. Him? Just someone I'm keeping in reserve till I find a better one. Have you met any of the crew yet? Oh, boy, did I. He was bringing in the horses. Oh? I met him, too.
This is the kind of place you dream about. Stars and crickets, and the right man comes along. Oh, it all fits in.
Just like that, huh?
I think maybe this summer. I think I'm ready, you know?
I hope so, Laura. Marriage is a good thing. Take it from an old widow.
That's the most important thing I can do, isn't it? Find the right person. Someone who can really make me happy.
And when you find him?
Then that's the one for me, if I'm in love with him. Aunt Jean, someone right this minute, he's looking for me. And when I find him, I'll know.
I've got a reservation. Sheffield's the name.
Alexander?
My friends call me Alex.
Here's your key.
Thanks.
Laura.
See, Laura? A nice place for a honeymoon.
Oh, darn. That's the story of my life, Elaine. Every guy that comes along, well, there's either something wrong with him or he's already taken. Well, it doesn't help to worry about it. Come on, give me a hand. Well, how can you not worry about it? Why, just look at all the divorces that go on in this country. 1 out of every 3 marriages or something like that. Why, those people just didn't make sure they were marrying the right person. Look, you can't worry about all of them, so why don't you just worry about you? That's who I am worried about. Not that way. I mean, worrying about being the right kind of a wife. You sound like a marriage counselor. Come on, let's hurry. We're almost through. I'm meeting Neil out by the pool. Hey, how about coming along? Oh, great. Okay.
Now, which one of these would I take? Well, that lets him out.
I wish there were some more like Neil running around. Hey, Laura, interested in a blind date? Oh, I might be. Oh, the guy Neil's talking to, his name's Ralph. Him? He did a belly flop. So, Neil's got an ingrown toenail. Laura, nobody's perfect. Well, come on, we're planning a picnic up in the mountains. We're taking horses. All right. But just promise me it won't be grotesque. I've never been on a horse, you know. We'll give you one that's never been ridden. That way you can both start out even. Oh, funny. Laura, you were positively rude to Ralph. Why should I go out of my way to please him? Why, he can't ride a horse much better than I can. You're looking for a husband, but you're going about it all wrong. Oh, well, when the right one comes along, I'll change. But change doesn't happen like that. For instance, if you don't make your bed before marriage, you probably won't after. Well, all I need is motivation to do things. Like maybe a boy who's a national basketball star? Maybe. Ralph was one of the top 10 collegiate players last year. You're kidding. Why didn't he say something? Well, it's pretty obvious that you couldn't care less. Maybe we could try it again sometime. Maybe. But I have the feeling that next time he couldn't care less. How's the tourist trade? Oh, fine. I mean men. Oh, them. They're nowhere. No? Aunt Jean, maybe this isn't going to be the summer after all. I guess I'm just never going to be a bride. You're still young, Laura. That has nothing to do with it. Look, 2 of my girlfriends got engaged last week. 2 of them. Do you realize that by fall I may be the only old maid in the neighborhood? Why don't you work off some of your sorrows on these decorations? Tomorrow's the 4th, you know. That's right, I'd forgotten. We're going to have the biggest blowout of the season. Outdoor games, dancing, fireworks. And if I'm not mistaken, lots and lots of male visitors. You win. I'm cheered up. Happy 4th of July, everybody. No use crying over it. Oh, isn't it just like it? Every time you plan something fun, it rains. Oh, not always. Like last year at the senior party. We had everything planned just great, and then rain. We had to cancel the buses and everything. We held it in the gym. Did you have fun? Are you kidding?
Wow, it's ever wet out there. Found that bill you wanted.
Oh, thanks. Why don't you sit down and rest a minute?
Sure. Company here's a lot better looking than what's at the corral.
If you stay here, you have to work.
Oh.
How is it that Elaine can be so happy? Oh, she's in love. But I know lots of people that are in love and not all of them are happy. I guess maybe it's him. Well, he's great, all right. He could sure make me happy. Well, why not? They're not engaged or anything. Maybe he is the one for me.
Hey, let me help you.
Oh, I can manage?
Oh, no, I want to.
Guess one of us is gonna have to lose some weight.
My sister's just got to have some help with the children. The new baby came early. I'll be back by Friday. I thought you had some big deal planned this evening with Neil. I did, but he understands. Are you sure? Men like to come first, you know. Laura, Neil wouldn't want me to give up all my other loyalties for him. Besides, he knows the situation with my sister. Gosh, I want kids. Don't you? Oh, yeah. Sometime. Come on, walk me to the car. take care of Neil while I'm gone. Okay. Say, why don't you teach Laura how to ride? She's been dying to learn, and here's the summer's practically gone. Oh, that'd be great.
Why not?
Bye-bye. Bye. Okay, Neil, after work?
You got yourself a teacher. First thing you got to decide is who's going to be boss, you or the horse. Now I'll show you how to get on. Reins in the horn up here. Put your foot in the stirrup securely, hand on the saddle and swing over. Now let's see you try it.
Oh!
You probably want to eat standing up for a few days, but you didn't do too bad.
Oh, that's because I had such a good teacher. Aunt Jean wanted me to go into town today to pick up a few things. Would you like to come along? I hate to drive.
Sure. Need to do a little shopping myself.
Oh.
How about a room, miss?
Oh, Aunt Jean, you shouldn't sneak up on people like that.
How are you enjoying your last day as a working girl?
Oh, I don't know. Last week I was all ready to go home, but no, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Just what I figured.
What did you figure?
Neil, what's going on between you two anyway?
Oh, Aunt Jean, this is it.
What about Elaine?
All's fair.
You know she's coming back tonight, don't you?
Uh-huh.
What does Neil think about all this?
Well, he hasn't said anything yet. Oh, but he's been so nice. Just a little while ago, he said he wanted to talk to me tonight after supper. He said it was important.
Well, good luck.
Things are sure quiet since most of the guests have gone.
Yeah, I guess there's nothing more deserted than a summer resort after Labor Day. But this week has been fun, Laura.
I've enjoyed it too, Neil.
I guess it sounded pretty funny, my wanting to talk to you like this.
No.
But I wanted to before Elaine gets back.
I understand.
I've made a decision, and, well, I feel kind of dumb standing here talking about it. I've never done anything like this before.
Neither have I.
Look, I bought this today.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I guess you think this is kind of premature. I mean, we haven't known each other very long and all. But I'm sure it's right. Laura?
Yes, Neil?
Laura, do you think she'll like it?
She?
Elaine. She doesn't know about this, but I'm sure she feels the same way I do. Laura, do you think she'll like the ring?
Of course. It's beautiful.
Now, what you've got to do is this. You've got to keep her in her room until I'm ready. I want to surprise her. I guess you think this is kind of dumb, Laura, but just wait till you care for someone the way I care for Elaine. You'll understand.
I understand. Sure. I'll help.
Well, wait, Laura. I gotta talk to someone. Gosh, I haven't felt this nervous since I was a kid. Elaine's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. She's never thinking about herself. Look at the way she went down there to tend her sister's kids. And you know what? She's not always trying to impress people.
No, she isn't.
And another thing, she's happy, you know? My old grandpa always said, son, look for a happy woman. If she ain't happy before marriage, she sure as shooting won't be after.
No, I guess not.
Why, Elaine's most always cheerful, even when things go wrong. She doesn't get edgy or start complaining. She's got a great sense of humor, too.
Sounds like you've got it made.
I sure have. And you know what else? She's a hard worker.
Is that important, Neil?
It is to me. I'd sure hate to come home to a dirty house every night. She likes kids. I think that's important in marriage, don't you?
Yes, I'm sure it is.
Elaine knows that marriage is what two people make it. Oh, she's not perfect, but then neither am I. And I'm sure we can really help each other.
Gosh, Neil. Congratulations. I'm really happy for you, honest.
Thanks. I guess you'll have to excuse my going on like this. But a guy doesn't get engaged every day. That is if she'll have me.
She'll have you. I'm leaving tomorrow, you know.
Yeah, I know. We'll miss you. You're quite a gal yourself, you know.
Am I?
Yeah?
You might not understand this, Neil, but you've taught me a lot.
Yeah? You gonna sign up for a rodeo?
No, other things.
Like?
Just things. Anyway, thanks. It's been a good summer.
Don't worry, Laura. You'll find the right one.
Oh, I guess so,
But what?
oh, Aunt Jean, I guess I'm just a little bit dumb. Not so dumb that I can't learn. I think this summer I've really learned something.
Oh?
I'm going to try really hard not to worry so much about finding the right person as being the right person. I mean, when I'm well on the way to becoming the person I want to be, then maybe I'll be ready to make someone else happy.
Laura, I think we've got a real sage in the family. And besides, I learned how to ride.
And besides, I learned how to ride. You could say that that was a metaphor or a euphemism. But it's a great film, especially that letdown. Do you think she'll have me? So great. So there's other films that have come out around that time. There's this great one called Mirror Mirror, which basically has a high school boy doubting, having a crisis of confidence, and then being able, because a mirror tells him, it's the second film I have where mirrors tell people about their behavior, emotional health, etc. Maybe I should just do a show about mirrors. Anyways, the Mirror, mirror, basically the mirror tells the boy, like, it's not just you that has a crisis of confidence. Everybody your age does. And basically lets him eavesdrop on the thoughts of other people and see that they're all clumsy and awkward and on the verge of emotional collapse. And which is actually pretty useful if you think about it. Thanks, everybody, again, for tuning in today, beginning our 13th week. Thank you so much for some coffee. If you liked what you saw, you can buy me a cup of coffee or more. Also, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, like and subscribe if you can. Patreon is a great place also. It's like a tip donation jar. And avgeeks.com, we have all of our previous archive shows available there, and also thousands of other films from our collection. It's a great place to go. You also can buy DVDs there. Thank you, and I shall see you again tomorrow on Tuesday. And everybody have a good rest of the day. It's raining here, so blech. But we'll see you soon. Everybody have a good rest of the day. Bye.